Brothers, sisters, friends, assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. We stand here today to speak for a man who has dedicated his life for others, Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya. Dr. Hussam is embodiment of everything Israel seeks to destroy. They're not just dropping bombs on hospitals, they're annihilating the lifelines of a society and stripping Gaza of its future. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. This is not an isolated act of cruelty. It's a calculated strategy. Israel is targeting doctors, journalists, professors. They want to systematically erase Gaza, not just from maps, but from memory. They want a Gaza without hospitals, without classrooms, without hope. Right now, Dr. Hussam sits in an Israeli prison, his life hanging by a thread. We know what happens in these prisons. We've seen the videotapes. Palestinian prisoners gang raped by Israeli soldiers, beaten, tortured, stripped of every shred of dignity. His life is at imminent risk. Dr. Hussam devoted his life to his people. For weeks, he pleaded for help, not for himself, but for his patients, for his hospital, for his colleagues. He stayed when he could have left. He stayed despite the threats, despite the bombing, despite the siege as Israeli tanks prevented water, food or medicine into the hospital. As we speak, Israel is dropping bombs that skin people alive, bombs that decapitate children, bombs that annihilate entire families, entire neighborhoods, entire bloodlines. These are bombs that create orphans and then destroy the hospitals meant to care for them. We must refuse to let them turn these horrors into business as usual.
Keir Starmer as Prime Minister and David Lammy as the Foreign Secretary should be demanding his release. And you know, it brings shame on our country that they've said nothing. But worse, by saying nothing, you become complicit. And therefore, the reason many of us have been demonstrating these last few days, and all of you are here, is to make one simple demand on our own government to stand up now and demand Hussam's release.
The idea of a doctor having to amputate the limb of a child without anaesthetic, without any proper medical equipment, just to try and save a life, shows the levels of dedication they've got and shows their determination. But none of this is necessary. Every one of those operations that's taken place in these terrible, difficult conditions are but a few kilometres away from the supply of anaesthetics, medicine, clean water, and all the other things that hospitals need. This is a deliberately created health crisis, deliberately created by the Israeli Defense Force and its bombardment of Gaza and its killing of medical professionals. So, and to its shame, this government is still supplying weapons to Israel, is still allowing the Royal Air Force Base at Akrotiri to be used as a staging point. That's why our campaign has to be for the end of arms supplies to Israel, a demand to evacuate all Israeli forces from Gaza and the complete evacuation of Israeli forces from the West Bank, and recognise what Israel is doing at the moment by occupying southern parts of Lebanon and Syria. We cannot have this. They've got to withdraw. There's got to be an end to the arms supplies. There's got to be support for the Palestinian people.
And let's be clear, Israel's deliberate assault on Gaza's healthcare system is a war crime. Israel's attacks on hospitals, Israel's attacks on ambulances, Israel's jailing of hundreds of healthcare workers, they are all war crimes. It's time to end all arms sales to Israel. It's time for sanctions on Israel. Stop arming Israel! Stop arming Israel!
Hey, babies have been killed as a result of hypothermia. And how does our mainstream media report this? As though this is some rare occurrence, instead of calling it what it is, a war crime, a genocide.
The Palestinian struggle is strengthened by and firmly rooted in our past, in our martyrs that have made the ultimate sacrifice, in our prisoners who guide us on the path to liberation, and in the history and legacy of our steadfast resistance. Today, on the 6th day of 2025, the only New Year's resolution we have made is a recommitment to the Palestinian struggle until liberation and return, until Palestine is free from the river to the sea. Free, free!
650 hospitals and health facilities have been attacked by the IDF. The United Nations itself has made the report, has made the clear statement that hospitals in the Gaza Strip are battlefields. None of this could have happened. None of this could have happened if it wasn't targeted. None of this would have happened if it wasn't premeditated, if it wasn't planned. And I want us tonight to salute the bravery, the heroism, and the selflessness of the health workers of Gaza and the health workers in the hospitals who have stood right up to the end in the most desperate conditions to try and do something to improve the lives, to ease the pain, to assuage the misery of the population in Gaza.
1!
We are the people!
2!
We won't be silent!
3!
Stop the bombing now, 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 now!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Thank you, and thank you all for being here on this cold January evening as we begin another year. Another year of struggle, another year of protest, another year of boycott and divestment, another year of building solidarity with the Palestinian people as they continue to demand justice in the face of Israel's ongoing genocidal onslaught.